So Battlefield 6 launched with a insane amount of hype. And after a great beta and frankly a lot of good content on the surface, even I got drawn into the hype. But like I said on my previous video, there are glitches and bugs that need to be addressed. Now, EA's done a good job on fixing some of the worst of these bugs so far, but we are going to go and deep dive into what has been fixed, what's still broken, and what EA are saying that they're going to fix next. So let's decrypt all this. Alright, so let's kick this off with the fixed bugs. EA has done a great job at fixing the most broken parts of the game so far. So we've got to give an honourable mention here to the death of the drone surfing exploit. If you hit the recon drone with the sledgehammer, you'd get launched into the sky. This allowed you to get onto rooftops and other out-of-bounds areas, and easily was, as a player, the most broken thing. Particularly on Manhattan Bridge, there were so many one-sided games caused by one team exploiting this. EA came down heavy with bans for people who did this, but at the same time, they quickly fixed it. It was done in two parts where they disabled the drone, and then they finally came up with a full fix. Thank you, EA. The game actually feels and plays so much better, and I do not dread getting drafted into Manhattan anymore. RIP the drone glitch. Second up, we have the IFV, lock-guided missile bug. This hasn't been fixed yet, and it's a temporary fix. But what they've done is just remove the IFV, which is the infantry fighting vehicle. Basically, it made all countermeasures for aircrafts irrelevant. And if you want to know what that's like, you would genuinely fish in a barrel when this thing was on the field. This is probably one of, if you're a pilot, the biggest quality of life improvement that they've got. There's a full fix in the pipeline apparently, but for now you can fly without fear of being instantly deleted. No more Control-Alt-Delete on life for us pilots, which is brilliant. Now, they've just disabled the weapon. It's a shame because it now means that there isn't a lot you can do vehicle-wise to counter aircrafts, but there's plenty of tools at your disposal as an infantry, so it's not a huge issue. One of the biggest problems in terms of player feedback was that since the beta, gunplay felt completely irrelevant, and it had changed drastically, and that was down to the aim assist behavior. What they've done in update 1.1.2 is revert it back to open beta values. Basically reset it to what people are more familiar with. And it means that it's not working inconsistently, and for controller players, so console players and PC players who choose to use a controller, things are feeling a lot better and a lot more reliable. In the same update, they also fixed controller dead zones, audio bugs and progression issues, as well as other bits. The progression issues by far was one of the most annoying things if you're a completionist. Certain challenges that were hard enough anyway and meant you had to change your loadout or play a class that you wouldn't normally play were taking so much longer because it was inconsistent with it counting. And props to fixing that, because as soon as that update rolled out, I finished a challenge I'd been stuck on for weeks in literally one game. So as a quality of life thing, that is incredible. They've also improved certain gadgets like the mortar, the laser designator, supply crates, and the vehicle clipping issue. So honestly, this is fantastic that EA have acted so quick on behalf of their player base. So thank you so much, EA. Alright, so let's move on to the bugs that are still in the game, because I don't want to sound like I'm glazing EA. They have tackled a lot of the big issues, But there is definitely one issue that really needs attention and quick before players start to get really fobbed off. It's the hit registration and ghost bullets. This is easily the most talked about issue in Battlefield at the moment, and players are constantly, even now, reporting ghost bullets and missed hit registration, which seems to be more in close quarters firefights. The thing is with EA, this happens in Apex as well a lot. My money is just on it being a server refresh issue, because not to go into why Apex is not the great competitive game that it should be, but they use a really low refresh rate, lower than most people's monitors, and because of that, things don't add up. So hopefully something along that line is the problem here and they upgrade it and fix it, but I don't really have solid details on that. Now, we've got a really quirky issue as well in the game currently, and that's the bounty terrain and weird physics. So, similar to the drone surfing, players can still randomly get launched. This is stuff like vehicles getting bounced when they hit something way higher than they should be. Slide launches, you can hit certain parts of the map and launch through. I've also fell through the map as well as part of this, and ladder physics and unpredictable movement still rife. Now, dev team has said that this is the next thing on the chopping block for them, so hopefully we will see a massive improvement on that in the next update. But until it's fixed, it's not fixed. Now, I did mention that progression things were fixed, didn't I, earlier? But that's not the whole story. Certain assignments are still not tracking, but this is different to the assignment being inconsistent, but rather it being not tracking the assignment that it should be. So UA elements are failing to update, and it seems like what the classifications of what counts towards the objective aren't quite right based on the description. But we are hoping to see a fix now. There's also vehicle spawn issues, which, if you're on one of the large maps, is certainly making the game one-sided at the moment. Vehicles are still failing to spawn in some of the large-scale modes, or spawn way later than they should. Now, because of how large some of these maps are, it really feels janky almost when you're playing something like Conquest or Escalation, where you've got a lot of ground to cover, and yet you can't get there on time. And when it only affects one team at a time, one team instantly starts the game at a massive disadvantage. Now, really interestingly as well, there seems to be a PS5 specific issue, or more to the point, a PS5 controller being used on a PC issue, where there's high dead zones and delayed inputs. That is something that is going to be fixed pretty soon, but hopefully it will eventually be fixed. Given how much better off-brand and Xbox controllers are doing, I'm sure that it won't take long for EA to fix this. Alright, so our next section is just about what has been stated to be the developers' priorities in terms of fixes. The big one at the minute seems to be the hit registration, aim assist, and recoil. As an infantry player, these are probably the things that people really want fixing, and soon. And the reason for that is that it just makes the game feel inconsistent. However, these are actively being worked on, according to EA and DICE, but we don't have a release date just yet. So, hopefully it'll be soon. Just stick with it, and it should be fine. The terrain and physics bug issues will be coming soon as well. Battlefield 6 leads have confirmed this. The infantry fighting vehicle is planned for a full rework, so whilst it's temporarily disabled, They've promised us that a proper fix and balance update is coming in future patches. Now, the map size and player count review, basically what has been said is that some of the maps feel a bit empty and a bit sparse. They are potentially looking at improving and increasing the player counts on those maps just so that they feel a bit more chaotic. You can really tell the difference between certain maps in the game currently purely by how many kills you get in a short period of time. Some are chaotic and beautiful, others are just a bit boring and not a lot going on. So, yeah. But, on the bright side, EA has done something really out of pocket here, and they've granted XP boosters and Battle Pass upgrades to players who could not get on in the launch. Now, I don't want to seem like I'm glazing EA here. I really haven't liked their practices in recent years, but it's actually really nice to see that they're giving people a hand up due to their mistakes, which is something that a lot of developers and so one thing that EA has done that's out of pocket is that they've given compensation and apology bundles to players who have been hit with day one issues. Many players have not been able to play the game just because of some launch day issues, but they've given XP and Battle Pass upgrades, which is incredible. And as much as I don't like to glaze AAA studios, this is exactly how these things should be handled. So it gives players the opportunity to catch up on the content they've missed, the levels that they've not been able to achieve yet. And frankly, props to you. Most people wouldn't do this. So the only question left to answer is Battlefield 6 improving? And definitely this is a yes. From where it was when it launched, it feels a lot better. There are still issues that I haven't covered on the tech side in this video. But in terms of the biggest bugs in the game, genuinely we are seeing that addressed really quick. EA has done a great job at tackling the biggest problems first, whether that be the drone surfing, the absolute unbalanced IFV, as well as player side issues such as controllers not working as they should. So the biggest issues have been addressed quite quickly. The problem is, without a timeline for the other bigger issues that are there, it is really frustrating and us players are currently in a state of limbo. But month by month, this game is getting more polished. And given the vast variety of maps, content, weapons, it's not surprising that there aren't bugs being found until now. You know, so props to you, EA, for actually listening to players' responses and actively working to pick up the issues that they are laying down for you.